Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Shred Your Halo with me, Adele, and my best friend, Jagna. We come to you every fortnight with a thought-provoking topic that we hope will resonate with you and start a dialogue. So before we jump into the topic today, which is going to be what is going to be our emotional diet, I would encourage all of you to click subscribe, like, press the bell icon if you like the video. Share it with anyone near and dear you think will benefit from watching our video, and be a part of the dialogue. All right. So this week, in carrying ahead with the series of what we believe to be healthy diets, we did a video a couple of fortnights ago about what is a good spiritual diet. And the previous video was a good psychological diet. So today we're going to talk about what is a healthy emotional diet. So we're going to have a good 360-degree view of what we're talking about. So Jarna, would you like to go first in telling me what you think emotions are?
Emotions are basically a form of energy that moves. Energy in motion is emotion. That's a very technical definition of emotion. My understanding of emotions are, of course, there are different ranges of emotions from sad to happy, anger to frustration, rage, hate. All of these would fall under that bracket. And personally, every emotion has a particular feeling in the body that is attached to it, like a feeling signature. Every emotion feels a different way in our body. So my basic understanding of emotion is still something I'm working on because there are so many things that I had denied in the past. A lot of my emotions I had denied in the past. So when they spring on me suddenly, it still takes me a while to sort of sit with it and be okay with it. But my basic understanding is every emotion is is movement. It's not static, and it does not stay the same. It keeps changing over and over again, and it changes a lot. It's not something that you can say, in this moment I'm feeling angry and I feel it in this part of my body, and then that's where it will be stuck for the rest of my life. So yeah, it's basically volatile. There is no like it's not held in one particular place. Yeah, so that's my understanding.
Right. The way I see emotions is a mixture of a mood, a feeling, and a thought attached to the both. So that's why emotions are so powerful, because literally 2 out of the 3 are not in our control. A mood is dependent on the external. Um, you need a certain music, a certain lighting, a certain type of a day to be in a romantic mood, right? It's completely, if I want to study, I need a certain mood to be set. And it's actually quite a helpless place to be in. It's quite a cold-blooded place because you're in the mercy of lots of elements coming together to set the stage for you to have that mood. And its mood is also a little bit elusive as it is completely not in our control. The second one is feeling. The mood, the second domino it hits is the feelings, the sensations we feel in our body. And we may feel love in the vicinity of our chest. We may feel tension in the vicinity of our heads. We may feel anger in the vicinity of our mouth and our throats. So each person holds, like you said, the feeling signature. The sensations arise in our body, in different areas in our body. And then we have the ability to tell stories. So that's where the thoughts come in. And this is, again, greatly influenced by the family we are born in, the traditions of our upbringing, the culture we grow up in, the media that we are exposed to, and our own basic bent on the way we think. Like a psychopath would think the way a psychopath does. A sociopath would think the way the sociopath does, right? So that's not the only 2 categories of people. I was
I was
I was like psychopaths and sociopaths, and that's it.
I was just thinking that because all of us have multiple personalities, right? None of us have the same emotions or none of us have the same personality all the time. And
Yeah.
I guess in some cases it's a diagnosis and probably requires medical attention. But all of us can be in great moods and all of us can fly off the handle from time to time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the mood gives rise to a feeling, which we interpret with our thoughts. And the mixture of the three is an emotion. Now, the ones on either ends, the mood, we are helpless towards. The thoughts, to a certain extent, we are helpless because it so much depends upon the conditioning that surrounds the way we think, the way our logic works, how our education has processed our minds into having a certain muscle memory that brings forth thoughts only in those unchallenged pathways, right? The only thing that's left kind of pure in the amalgamation of the three, which causes an emotion, is the sensation in our body. So this is my understanding of what an emotion is. Now, what else would you like to contribute to this emotional study, Jana? Study of emotions.
I think the first thing to understand about emotions is most of us are extremely uneducated when it comes to our emotions. We don't understand what we're going through unless we can look at it for directly what look at it for what it directly is. No. Yes. Sorry, I'm just getting my words jumbled. So, for me, it took a very long time to first understand that all of the emotions that I experience, none of it is good or bad. Because I would assume that being sad was not okay. God forbid I get angry and I would feel guilt. I would feel ashamed for feeling angry because I was consistently told that it's not okay to be angry. So, conditioning, of course, it plays such a huge part because you learn what you've been taught by people who didn't know much about their own emotions. So, it took me a very long time to come to the conclusion that there will be times I will be angry, there'll be times when I will be extremely happy, there'll be times I might feel guilty, there'll be times I'll feel jealous, and every emotion has equal importance. And it's okay to feel exactly how I feel. But it also took me a long time to realize that I shouldn't be stewing in them and, romancing them and making a story out of it because I can completely get stuck over there. Because if I've had a life of not having my emotions validated, the day I realize I can validate them, you can get stuck there for such a long time. And this was something that we were having like a conversation ages ago, and I remember you were telling me that you also went through something similar where it took you a while to step out of that zone where you would only be stuck in the emotions for a really long time. And I think you noticed that I was doing that as well, and you told me that try not to do that because I did it for a very, very long time. And I think you told me that before I went off to the other extreme where I was completely stuck. And I also remember you saying, I wish somebody had told me this before. So it's very important to not get stuck where you're feeling. And um, it takes a little while to be okay with wherever you're at because it's also breaking that conditioning of this is not okay, that's not okay. Then you start questioning your thoughts when it comes to those certain emotions. So I think overall, it's still a journey that I'm learning to get used to because certain things are so new right now, and I'm not really sure I'm able to look at it objectively. But I suppose stepping back and seeing where you are might give you a little bit of perspective on how big or small a particular situation is and how your emotions may or may not be directly proportional to that particular incident. Yeah.
Right. The danger about being uneducated and being unconscious about emotions, which is an amalgamation of mood, feeling, and the thought story attached to the mood and the feeling, is that we will perpetuate a treadmill cycle and we'd be like a hamster in a wheel after that. We'll constantly keep chasing after that mood with the thought, if it is a pleasant mood, which somehow hit us and we studied so well, and then we passed this exam, and we will constantly be chasing after that one elusive um, shot in the dark kind of an event that happened in our life. And in so doing, we will constantly face failure. And the feeling signature of powerlessness, which is exactly what good fortune makes us feel like when we haven't worked towards our success and it just happened. It's a high, oh, I was powerless and still I live in a benevolent universe. So we're constantly searching up, and that powerlessness is reinforced over and over and over again. And we keep going into situations that make us feel powerless. So likewise, when we are not conscious about what constitutes emotions, and what about which in the arena of the emotions is under our control, what is not under our control, we will be at the mercy of emotions. And it's so easy to. You will find for the rest of your life, people who live in the same cycle, their events will change, the people around them may change, but nothing changes at the same time, you know? So that is another one. The second one is because emotions are so elusive and so common at the same time. If you take an FBI profiler or people who study people, that's why we're able to come up with psychological diseases, because we know that A, B, C, D, E, this is what they'll do. This is why they're culpable for that crime. This is why they're not. We can profile people. I watched this show a long time ago. I think it's called The Good Wife. Yeah. Where there is this particular investigator in the in the law firm, and they hire this investigator to go search for the truth. And they say, but he may have changed. And she goes, looks like, no, he wouldn't have. And they go like, but people change. And she says, no, they don't. And she walks out the door. And that created such a ripple effect in me that this desire to change can give rise to so many false ceilings where we think that, oh, I've changed, but really we haven't. You know, when we take ourselves out of ourselves and have a bird's eye view of our life and the patterns that we follow, not so much. Maybe how we behave can be changed, but it doesn't, like I can teach my dog new tricks, won't make him a human, you know? So a lot of things about us will technically not change. Has that been your experience, or have you experienced something contrary to that, Jarna?
Oh, no, no, no. I think I am just like everybody else. I am not very special,
What?
so I'm
I'm not
exactly
like anybody else at all.
Did that give rise to an emotion and a thought in your mind, Adam? Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same because we need to understand that none of us are having experiences that are so vastly different from each other. I mean, of course, your location, your geography, your culture, all of those things make a difference. But as human beings, all of us go through similar experiences. So, what one person may be experiencing, you may not feel it in that moment, but maybe you'll feel it in some other time, and maybe the intensity will be different. Maybe the feeling signature in your body is different. You can never tell. So, no, my experience has been exactly the same. And also, you were saying how people are feeling powerless and they keep attracting the same kind of people again and again in their life, right? I think it's because we get stuck in a cycle where we're used to those certain sensations in our body. And the more you deny yourself that, it's almost like you're craving for a hit of that particular sensation because it feels like a drug in your body. And I have had that experience where I felt completely out of control. And I felt like there were times when I felt like my life was falling apart, but I kept getting drawn to situations where I would feel that over and over again. And I couldn't even learn how to discharge that energy because I was so incensed in that moment. So it takes a little bit of stepping back. And of course, you will find ways to cope with how you're feeling. Maybe you'll turn to food, maybe you'll turn to drugs, social media, alcohol. We don't know what we turn to just so we can numb those feelings for a little bit of time. So it's like I said, like you were also saying, right? If you're uneducated about your emotions, you're going to keep going on in that hamster wheel. So, of course, it's going to be something that we learn on a day to day basis. It's not something you can change. You can't change your wiring overnight. It's just something you work at every single day. And the most important thing is bringing a little bit of awareness to where you are in that moment. Yeah.
Right. Now, my other understanding of emotions is that it's not something that I can master. There's a lot of words that are said, like master your emotions. I don't think my emotions are there to be mastered or domesticated or overcome my emotions. I mean, no. I've learned that when I coexist with my emotions, we have a more functioning relationship. My emotions are here to stay. So I'm not going to pretend they don't exist. I'm not going to attempt at pretending something that I'm not feeling in the moment. But I'm always going to attempt to provide a safe space for myself to feel whatever it is that I feel, to think whatever thoughts it is that I want to think, to chase after whatever mood it is that I want to feel. So once I gave my emotions a legitimate place in my life, I was able to, it's like living with another adult, living with a roommate, you know. Take away the human body, the emotions don't have a place to exist. Your emotions require the passport and the visa for the emotions to exist in this world is your human body, right? That's why we talk about feeling connected, being grounded. That's when so many times sorry, did I just disappear for a second or so, Jana? No, okay. This is why so the reason why people talk about being connected or being connected with themselves, not like Love Island connection, God. Anyway, and why we
But
prefer
every time somebody said that, if we had a shot, we'd be so
we'd still be drunk, Jana, a year after watching that show. We'd still be rolling on the floor. This connection. Oh, with that same inflection in the voice, isn't it?
connection.
Oh dear God. Anyway, so this is why I think people outsource something which they want to feel, but they haven't mastered their emotion. That's why they look for somebody else to provide it for them. So in that way, that is a clear indication of an emotionally immature person who wants somebody else to make them feel loved because they're not able to generate self-love for themselves, want to generate attraction, like say, oh my God, you're so attractive from somebody else because they don't feel attractive in themselves. So when you look at it, we can see that we formed in little cluster groups of codependent relationships where we give and take off each other that which we are not able to regulate and provide in steady supply for ourselves. This is why it's always a good thing to sometimes step back from all relationships. Just say I'm going on a hibernating mode for like 72 hours. Log off the internet for 72 hours. Or just go into I'm not going to eat meat for 3 days and see. I don't know why I'm stuck on 72 hours now. I can't see.
I was just wondering that.
Yes, there's no magic to the 72 hours. It just got stuck in my head.
But I have heard that your body can reset itself completely if you go on a 72-hour fast.
Oh, yes. I knew there was a reason why, because I didn't know what the reason was. I forgot, but 72 hours has a thing. Yeah. In Vedic literature, isn't it?
I am not sure, but I think a lot of people do say that. I don't want to miss quote because I'm
Right.
not sure where I've heard it.
Right. Okay. So when we can reset, reassess, analyze where we are, because that's what the company that you work in does. You know, if you're working in a corporate, they constantly are taking audits and they're looking to see who the good performers are, who the bad performers are, what the outcome of this particular course of action is. If we take upon ourselves the responsibility to evaluate our lives, to appraise ourselves, we'll probably have a clearer idea of what our emotions are. Now, do I believe, like, I don't know, I don't think emotions are there to be mastered. That is not the battle we've been put on earth to fight, right? Don't sit there waiting to master your emotions and domesticate your emotions. Like, that is bullshit waste of your own time, right? Don't, instead, learn to coexist. Know that the agenda for your emotions and the agenda we have in our lives may not always, meet and run parallel like railway tracks. That's because we've inherited so many emotions from our forefathers till, I don't know, right up until Adam and Eve. There are emotions that have been passing through generations and have just now manifested in us. So, coming to that point, what do you think keeps emotions alive, Jana?
Being a human being keeps emotions alive. It's
Okay.
just, we are in it for the long haul. It's just knowing that you exist. Emotions are going to be part of your daily routine. You're going to be feeling some way or the other at any given moment in time. So, whether you're working, whether you are meditating, whether you are writing, it doesn't stop. It's always going to be there. The only nature of emotions is it is not permanent. It keeps changing. It's not going to be stuck. It changes from time to time. And observing your emotions or observing the sensations in your body gives you a little bit of perspective into what your emotions are. So if you are a functioning human being, you're in it for the long haul. So that's not going to change.
Right. Now, what would we consider a good diet for our emotions? Do you want to go first?
Um, One thing that helps a lot is creating awareness and creating distance. Not, I wouldn't say distance exactly. Yeah, I suppose it would be distance, like stepping back, because awareness is literally stepping back and observing through meditation, maybe through certain physical activities. Like, for example, a lot of people talk about doing the dishes and being in the present moment, right? Being like right there and observing what you feel in terms of like soap running down your hand, the feeling of the dishes in your hand. So being in the present moment, just observing and not feeling like um, not trying to hold on to your experience and hoping that this is all the experience that you will have for the rest of time. So trying to allow yourself to be a little bit more allowing, basically, to let things move through you without getting stuck anywhere. These are two things. I guess meditation being in the present moment, and I think talking to people, like talking to people to get their perspective on what maybe you are going through could help a little bit. So I suppose these two things I would say fall under developing like a basket of healthy emotional diet.
Okay. Like I said previously, emotion is a mixture of a mood, a feeling, and a thought. So I think unopposed, uncontested, unrestricted, anything just becomes wild. And then we live in the mercy of it. So I don't think anybody can flourish in every environment. I can only flourish in certain things that are conducive to me. And I will know that from the feelings that particular setting generates inside of me. So if we need to have healthy emotions, we need to live in a healthy environment. You can't expect to be a lotus flower just blooming in the mud No, that doesn't happen, right? What human beings, by and large, all living creatures, by and large, do not overcome challenges. By and large, we succumb to it. And the fittest, the survival of the fittest is the law of exception. It is not the rule. It's only exceptional people escape from it. So I can't tell myself stories like, well, Einstein did it. Duh, you're no Einstein, mister, you know? So let me be humble enough to provide the mood that I want myself to be in. If I like to live in a Zen-like environment, and that's where I thrive, let me learn to find a quiet spot for myself. If I like the hustle and the bustle, let me learn to feed myself that at regular intervals. If I like to live in the midst of nature, let me take myself to a place where it's filled with nature. If I need the presence of other people, you get what I mean, right? So constantly give ourselves the permission to live in the mood, make the mood our home, the mood that is best for us. Let us make it our home. That's when we can be most authentic. And then when our feelings will direct what moods we need and what moods we need to add into our life. So let our home include moods of places where there is activity, then places where there is rest, where there is reflection, then where there is a place for communion, you know. So let us have all of that in our homes. Let's come home to that every day, and let's not make things like that so exceptional that it'll happen only once in a blue moon. Let's sink into our feelings and not judge them. Suspending thought is an excellent way, which is what meditation is all about, where we suspend thought and give the sensations and the feelings in our body to be and just observe them. And that is an incredible way for our body to live with the sensations coursing through it. And the third one is challenging the thoughts. If we're just caught up in this rat race of only believing the stories that we are capable of spinning, you know, we're just going to derail ourselves. It's going to be a very asymmetric growth in our lives. Instead, if we are going to challenge ourselves, let's find books by different authors, people who do not agree with us. Let's find books by them and let's read those books. Let's have debates with people. Like if I would have a healthy debate with a conservative, I would find that exceptionally growth inducing, except it won't feel pleasant, but it's very healthy if I could have a conversation with somebody who is all about religion. If I were to have a conversation with somebody who is anti-gay, I could possibly, I don't know what I could learn, but maybe tolerance. I don't know. Possibly I could learn something. If I saw somebody who was a commercial breeder of dogs, okay, I think I've just shot myself in the foot with that one. I'm not sure I would have a conversation with anti-gay people and with people who breed dogs. I don't know why I boxed myself into a corner, but here it is. Maybe as a result of the big resistance I have, maybe I will benefit. Who knows? It might even be possible. I don't know. So here we go. Challenging our thoughts will help us come up with better arguments to stick to a firmly held belief, right? And every single time something that has gone unchallenged is challenged, it gives rise to something new, something unique, something original, something that's you. And only then can we create the life that we deserve. So I would recommend that we live in a place that feels like home to us, fill our homes with the things that give us meaning. Have a little bit of distance from the feelings in our body and not get so enmeshed with it that we come up with a story and a justification for why they are there, but just watch our emotions and the buzzing in our body. And the third, constantly challenge our thoughts, constantly, through books, through dialogue, through debate, through meeting new people, not being afraid of a social scenario, of listening to inspirational talks or even not so inspirational talks. having another point of view. And when we constantly do that, we'd be so surprised how unboxed we actually are. Right. We're actually running out of time. So we're going to close this unless you have some ending words to this. Do you want to say
I
something?
think where you were talking about challenging your thought and not assigning meaning to your story, I think it's very helpful to talk to a therapist. And I think
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
doing the work by Byron Katie. I think literally every video that we do, we always mention this.
Yes,
Very,
you.
very powerful tools to challenge your thoughts and your beliefs. Yeah, yeah, that's all
Right.
I had to.
Oh, thank you. So we've come to an end of another episode of Shred Your Halo. Thank you for sticking with us and being witness to see how our mind works. Thank you once again. So we'll meet you in another fortnight's time with another topic. And don't forget to leave a comment below, click like, don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and we'll see you in another couple of weeks. Bye for now.